Welcome, everyone, to the first edition of Tubi Horror Tuesdays. I'm your host, Kevin Lucia. This is a new segment on House of Shadow and Ink. Every Tuesday, I will come on and I will share with you the movies I have seen on Tubi that I really enjoyed or really hated. Tubi is a vast repository of treasure and trash. So we're going to look at all of those together. Really depends on my mood, quite frankly. A little bit about what this show is going to cover. It's not going to be deeply psychological and deconstructing films and looking at their societal underpinnings. I mean, I am an English teacher, so I can't resist going a little deep. But mostly it's going to be either, here's some great movies that I really loved on Tubi that you should check out right now, or these movies are so bad, they're hilarious. You should check them out on Tubi right now. So that's really what this is going to encompass. That's what we're going to do on the show. Not going to try to take myself too seriously or anything like that. Like I said, here's a Tubi trash panda who's saying to other Tubi trash pandas, go watch these films. The very first one we're going to talk about is Yellow Brick Road, which is on Tubi right now. In Yellow Brick Road, back in the day, this small town, dozens of their citizens just got up, walked out into the middle of the wilderness, and died there. Nobody knows why. Years later, present day, some researchers and historians and someone who's trying to write their thesis, obviously, and to make their mark in the world, has decided to follow the trail of these people. So they visit that town, they have a few false starts, but they finally find where their trail is, and they follow their trail up into the woods. Because their goal is what happened here? Can we unravel the mystery? Can we at least add to the mystery in some way? The movie starts off pretty low-key. They get turned around a little bit early in the forest. No big deal. But then the music starts playing. Off in the distance, there's this big band music playing, and they're in the woods. And they started thinking maybe this is what caused the people to go on their death walk. They heard this music, and they were trying to follow it. They were entranced by it. And it's all pretty cool and mysterious until about 6 hours later, when the music is still happening. Now, this movie has some of the best use of sound I have ever seen. By the end of the movie, you're literally gritting your teeth and really uneasy by what this music is doing. Especially because it's all very pleasant music, like I said, big band era music that constantly contradicts what's actually happening. There are some great turns in this movie. One, especially about midway through. I don't want to ruin any of it. It's not a gory film, but it just has these really stark, powerful, visceral moments that you're just like, whoa, that was a little uncomfortable. Or that was really uncomfortable. Obviously, they don't do well, and they end up meeting their demise. And there's themes under there, of course. The researcher is arrogant, and he wants to prove what happened to everyone. So he's going to keep pushing forward regardless of all the bad things that are happening. And we don't really get any closure, but it's just a wonderful picture of this, and I almost would call that cosmic horror, only because it's not Lovecraftian by any means, but I would call it cosmic horror because there's this other that's ethereal, an outside experience, but of course this guy is desperate to find it, but of course it's also going to drive him mad, and everybody else mad. Yellow Brick Road, checking out on YouTube. No, not YouTube. This is my first show, and I've already screwed up. Check it out on Tubi. Secondly is Takeout. Now, I have to give credit where credit's due. Tubi's original horror movies are getting better and better. The last couple I've seen, I've really enjoyed. In Takeout, we have a small city that's under siege. Not really under siege. There's a serial killer loping about. It's all over the news. And at this diner, this small diner, 24-hour diner, this really sketchy guy shows up to get a cup of coffee. Everyone's on edge. Serial killer. And they're thinking, is this guy the serial killer? He's certainly weird enough. He really is making me uneasy. When sketchy guy goes to the bathroom, one of the waitresses grabs the keys off his table and goes out and unlocks the trunk. Dead body. and shenanigans ensue. I gotta say, this movie surprised me. It was weird because when the surprise happened, I was like, oh yeah, I get that. I can see that. But I really wasn't expecting it. I thought it was going to be just a straightforward thriller where a serial killer is trapped in a diner with these other people, because there's also a sizable reward, the type of reward that would guarantee these people would never have to work in a diner ever again. So there are some people, once they believe they've caught the serial killer, who tell them, like, gee, money. I really want to keep this money. So check out Takeout on Tubi. The next one is Lovely, Dark, and Deep. And that goes out for all my fellow Robert Frost fans. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I've got promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. That's what I say at the beginning of a Tubi marathon. Instead of miles to go, though, I say I've got movies to go before I can sleep. Lovely, Dark, and Deep is about this forest ranger who works in the national forest. And she's got a little bit of childhood trauma. She lost her sister in the woods when she was little. She still blames herself for that. So obviously, in the national forest, that is notorious for people going missing and disappearing. When someone goes missing, our park ranger, she takes this person. I didn't realize she's taking it personal, but she takes it personal. Now, I don't know if I could do this job. These rangers go out in the middle of nowhere, stay in a cabin for who knows how long, and just patrol the area. And that's what she's doing. And she runs into increasingly weird events. And she brushes up against something very powerful, something that gives and takes away and demands great sacrifice. So you'll have to determine what that is as you're watching it. But it's a really great slow burn horror, lovely, dark, and deep. This next one is Lake Artifacts. Lake Artifacts is a great film. It kind of melds horror and science fiction together because we've got some time looping going on, where these group of college students are going out to a lake house in upstate New York, near Clifton Heights. Anyone? And of course, you have your usual drama where one of the girls has slept with someone else and cheated, and it's all a secret, but is it a secret? Anyway, things start going wrong as soon as they get near the house. Car breaks down. They have to get out and walk the rest of the way to the house. They end up running into this guy who's carrying a case of beer, and he just is like kind of acting like a drifter, just a regular Joe out walking. Is he or isn't he? When they get to the house, a lot of weird things start happening. Moments of deja vu. Pictures being printed out on the printer, which they've never taken. Like, there's a group picture of them that they know they've never taken, but it's been printed out. One of the characters goes back to the car and goes missing for over an hour. Then a strange old man wanders onto the property claiming to know everyone. It's a great film. Again, that mixes, it mixes multiverse, multi-dimensions, time loops all into one film, and then what psychologically that would do to someone. Because you have to start asking the question, how often have they been to this house? How many versions of them have come to this house? And how many versions of them have died here? Excellent film. The next film would be Drive Back. Drive Back is a fantastic film, which again plays with science fiction and horror, kind of with that idea of time slippage. A couple who's newly married gets in the car, they're on their way to their honeymoon, take a wrong turn on a desolate road that they can't seem to get off, no matter how many times they drive back and forth. To boot, there's a cloaked figure with a huge knife who seems intent on killing them both. I can't say anything more about this movie because it would ruin the surprise. But again, we've got this whole idea of multiple realities, multiple people, the horror of being trapped in that space. So there you go. Drive Back. And my final recommendation is going to be Possessions. Possessions is a great film about a guy who inherits one of those storage facilities. And one of those storage containers has something very interesting inside, something that has infected his son and is slowly working his way through his family. This was a really nice story because it's kind of relatable. This guy only took this job at the storage place because he needed it. He didn't have any other job. And he's a single father and trying to sort through all of that. It was also a little weird that, I'm going to mispronounce the name, Yeardley Smith, who does the voice of Lisa on The Simpsons, was the psychiatrist in that movie. I wasn't really expecting that. But it was a good, entertaining film. So those are my 5 Tubi Tuesday movies. Takeout, Yellow Brick Road, Lake Artifact, Drive Back, and Possessions. Go check those out on Tubi today.